Betsy, thank you for shuffling your schedule around initially to be able to speak to us. But I'm sure we're going to learn about all things new and refreshing and exciting with the Community Foundation. So Betsy, you can take it away.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
yes,
good.
sure.
So I'm going to share. You can hear me? Okay. Sharing the screen. This is the first time I've ever done this, so bear with me for one moment. And can you see my slideshow?
Yes.
You can see it? Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start. So my name's Betsy Hope. Thank you for having me today. And I am the Executive Director of the Greater Oxford Community Foundation. And we have some new things going on, including our name change. So I am, I think you can see me off to the right. I had my window open a little bit. I hope the sound is not too distracting. When I left my house today, 2 birds had flown into my garage. So I'm hoping that won't happen here. I don't have screens in my windows, so.
Betsy, could I interrupt?
Yes.
Would you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, sure. So I have been in the nonprofit world for almost 30 years. I graduated from Bowling Green State University with a degree in journalism. Originally, I'm from Rhode Island. My whole family's from New England. I have always worked in nonprofits, from hospital to nursing home corporation, Chamber of Commerce, and then most recently community foundations, with a stint at an art center for a couple of years right in the middle of that. But this is the 3rd community foundation that I've been at. There are 5 community foundations in Butler County, believe it or not, which is a lot for one area. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes, why that happened. It's actually a good thing. So again, I'm here at the Greater Oxford Community Foundation for the past 18 months, and it's been an interesting 1.5 years for obvious reasons. I think we've all had an interesting 1.5 years. So one of the things that we have done here, and we're still undergoing, is kind of a rebranding, kind of a freshening up of our image, our offices, our logo, all that kind of good stuff. This is the 25th anniversary of the Oxford Community Foundation, which is exciting, I think. We are in the process of finalizing officially a name change to add the word greater to our name, because we serve 144 square miles. It's basically the same service area as the Talawanda schools. And we serve, of course, the city of Oxford, but several townships surrounding that. We want to make sure that they feel included. So Oxford Township, Milford, Riley, Hanover, those are all important parts of our service area. And that's one reason why we added the word greater to our name. And right now we're undergoing the official filings on that. Our hashtags are paving the way, kind of coinciding with the brick theme of Oxford, and that we think we're kind of trying to be in the lead of grant making. Give where you live. We want people to remember that they can give locally here to their community foundation, and through your community foundation, you can make an impact in the areas of, healthcare, education, animals, food scarcity, all the different kinds of causes that people care about. Really, almost any nonprofit cause we can make an impact in and a difference with. And then finally, grant making for good. We are first and foremost a grant maker. That's what we do with the help of our wonderful donors. So we're here to respond to donors and their charitable dreams by making grants and awarding scholarships. So I want to thank you for having me here today. I know we're rescheduled from the inaugural day. I didn't want to compete with that. So thanks for having me and sticking with me through that schedule change. I appreciate that. We're also a partner with you, which we really appreciate. Rotary has 3 funds with the Greater Oxford Community Foundation. One of them is your Founders Fund. I believe this is the first one. I was going through the fund files yesterday. We have 160 different funds here at the foundation, and Rotary has 3 of them. The Founders Fund is your organizational endowment. It's kind of like your savings account. That money is invested and added to that fund every year. It's an endowment. The next fund is the Hefner Community Fund, supported by Oxford Rotary Fund and Hefner. That's actually the official name of the fund according to our files. And that is your donor advised fund. And right now we are in the process. I just traded some emails with Susie a couple of days ago. We're making a grant to the backpack program at St. Mary's that you're advising us to make out of that fund. And the third one is the scholarships, the Hefner scholarships. So that's happening right now too. We just picked up the scholarship packets. Those are completed at Talawanda High School. We go through those, make sure they have everything in them that we require. And then as far as the Hefner scholarships, as you know, you have a scholarship committee, and our board as a formality approves those names. And after the fact, that doesn't have to hold anything up. But your committee makes your decisions on who receives your 7, I think it is 7 scholarships. And then those are awarded at senior awards night. And my understanding is you also have a really nice luncheon for the students. Couldn't have that last year. I'm guessing you probably can't have that this year. But hopefully after this year, we'll get back to normal. You and I and some of the other sponsors of scholarships should receive a link from Talawanda High School closer to scholarship night, which is May 19th. So that is exciting. My presentation likes to move on its own, but we appreciate our partnership with you, so thank you. Community foundations are really interesting organizations. The first community foundation in our country was formed in Cleveland, Ohio in 1914, the very first for the whole country. And it is one of the biggest community foundations in the US. There are 800 community foundations in the United States. We work with donors. It all starts with the donor. We're able to help any charitable cause in our service area. That is a 501c3. Nonprofit organization or a public organization like the schools, like the university. Sometimes with a donor, we can work with them if their wish is to award a grant even out of our service area, as long as there is some benefit back here to Oxford. And we can accept every type of gift, from cash to real estate, stock. I haven't done it here at this community foundation, but I have in the past accepted jewelry, a car, lots of different things. We end up selling those, of course, but we're flexible in terms of what we can accept as charitable gifts. How we started, so we started in 1966. There was a request to City Council that they were not able to accommodate. The request was for band music. And so Jim Robinson, who is our founder, as you may know, and one of your members, I'm not sure if he's on this call or not, but I can only see, I think, 6 people. I could probably change that view, but he felt that there should be some kind of vehicle locally to make these kind of grants. And through a lot of work and research and legal filings and all that kind of fun stuff, the Community Foundation was formed. We have a board of 15 people. We undergo an annual audit every year. I am the 5th executive director. Roger Millar, who I think is on this call because I think I saw him. He's one of the executive directors in the past. So I'm really happy that he's here in the community for me to talk to if I need something or have some questions. And then the other past directors, directors emeriti are Catherine Hollins and K.E. Smith. Catherine's still in the area, as you probably know. K.E. I think is in Maine. And then Leah Flynn was the director right before me, and she is now working in Cincinnati and just had another baby. Let's see, let me move this. We are a member of Philanthropy Ohio, which is our affinity group. They represent all different kinds of foundations, from private family foundations to corporate foundations to community foundations. They keep us up to date on legal issues and best practices and those kinds of things. So we interact with them a lot. There are 92 community foundations in our state. I mentioned Cleveland, 1.8 billion. So we may get there someday, I don't know. The smallest in Ohio. Oh, see, this is very sensitive. Where did that go? The smallest is the Greater Fostoria Community Foundation. I think they just started. They have about $10,000. So they're a startup. So Butler County has community foundations in Hamilton, Fairfield, Westchester, Liberty, Middletown. And as you know, Butler County is just so densely populated with different kinds of communities, and each community kind of has its own personality. So people have said before, I think even the Philanthropy Ohio leadership has said, why do you have all these community foundations in Butler County? Why can't you combine? Well, because we don't want to. Because we have our own unique communities. We want to respond to the donors in our own community. And it's working out well. All the community foundations talk and interact with each other. If I have a donor come to me that I think would be better served geographically by one of the other ones, I send them over there and vice versa. And it's a great resource to have those relationships. We're also a member of the Chamber of Commerce. We are here, you probably all know where we're at, but we're in the old Sigma Chi fraternity house. And we're at 22 East High Street. My office overlooks the Uptown Parks, which I love. We would love to have you come visit us. We're lonely over the past few months because of COVID. We really don't have as much traffic coming in and out. We miss that. Our office has been kind of redesigned and freshened up. And I'd like to have, I don't know if we're going to be able to have our annual meeting this fall. Some of you come to that. I'd like to have some kind of open house though, and have people come up and see our digs. So I mentioned we have 160 named funds. A milestone that we just hit is that we have assets of 12 million. One thing that's unique about this community foundation, besides its service area of 144 square miles, is the great community we have in terms of sitting, in the middle of Uptown Oxford. We have the Miami campus here, and I love that. My dad was a college professor at Bowling Green, so I love college towns. But surrounding Oxford and all the vibrancy in Oxford, we have all this beautiful rural agricultural land and those communities, and it's just a really nice kind of mix of lots of different kind of communities and resources. So that's a great thing about our community foundation. The other thing is that we have our own investment committee, as Roger knows. So we have a wonderful group of very knowledgeable finance professionals, and they make our investment decisions. And then the money that's invested, it's custodied LCNB, but the investment decisions are made by a volunteer committee, which is really a gift to us to save some fees and have people in our own community making those decisions. So that's a little unusual. Most community foundations don't have that luxury, and we may not always, but we're lucky to have that right now. Since we started, we've granted 4.5 million, and we love making grants. It's been a little harder in this COVID year, but that's what we're here for. So I mentioned our service area. So this is what granting looked like in the past. So I don't know if sometimes when you watch TV these days, if you see a whole bunch of people that are close together without masks on, it's kind of shocking, and you kind of, oh gosh, they're so close together. They're not wearing masks. But we'll get back there. But this is how it used to look. Lots of grants for activities, people together, gatherings. Haven't been able to do that in the last year. This top picture is a group that has not been able to meet. It's Oxford Youth Empowered to Serve. It's like our youth grant making body. When all this COVID thing ends, we're going to kind of rejuvenate that group and work with those kids to teach them about grant making and charities and nonprofits and things like that. I'm excited to get back to that. And down on the bottom are just a couple of pictures of our grants that we made involving services for children. And some of those have been put on hold, but I think we're coming out of this and we'll be able to do some of that again soon. So this is what granting has looked like in the past year. As you can see the people on Zoom. This is actually a recent picture. This is the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, Kramer Elementary. It's a site-based program. And so I know you all know how Big Brothers Big Sister works. I was a big sister when I was in my 20s in Toledo. But this is a program at Kramer where the bigs and littles are together after school once a week, but they had to transition the grant that we gave them. Their goal was to serve 40. They ended up serving 22 through Zoom, but they measured their outcomes and they were still very, very good. It was successful. I think you can kind of see in this picture, they're showing, here's a little showing off her, I don't know what that thing is. There's a cat up there. Someone has a gerbil or a bird or something, but they're interacting and they were able to still hold the Big Brothers Big Sisters site-based program, but they had to do it over Zoom. In 2020, we were able to award 37 grants and 47 scholarships. A lot of the nonprofits reached back out to us and said, oh, you know, you gave us a grant for this event. We can't do that, but we have this idea. What if we do this and this instead? And we just really stayed very flexible with them as far as how they administered their programs. Some of them wanted to give the money back. Some of them wanted to hold it for next year. And some found some other creative ways to do their work, which we really appreciate. We have 15 board members, and this is just a listing of who they are, and you probably recognize their names. And some of them have probably been members or are members, but we have a great group meeting now every other month via Zoom. Hope to get back to normal. So in this interesting year, we did form two new funds at the foundation that we formed ourselves, not through a donor coming to us, but just to try to help. Our COVID-19 Organizational Assistance Fund, most of that has been granted out. People made donations to that, and we use that to help nonprofits that were having a little bit of a challenge during these times. Donor giving has been down overall since COVID started for obvious reasons. The other one is our diversity fund, formed in response to unrest and events over the last 8 or 9 months. This is a group that is made up of different representatives from the university, from Talawanda schools, the public. We get together and discuss projects and what we can do here in our community. We do have grant money at the Greater Oxford Community Foundation that's available right now for anyone undertaking any initiative related to diversity. So I'm interested in having some of those requests come our way, because we do have money for that and there is a need for that. Just as an FYI, we just did make a $10,000 grant, and that was to help the King Library purchase Ancestry.com. Ancestry.com was needed by a history class doing a project about segregation and desegregation in our community and racial mapping and the history of racism in our community. They needed that software, and but that software is sitting at the King Library for anyone who wants to go over and research their own genealogy. So I just want to kind of point that out to you. I don't know if everyone knows that, but that's over there for everyone to use. You just have to go to the library. They have a 2-year subscription. This is the little staff we have. So there's just 2 of us, but we work hard. This is myself and Stephanie Wagers. And This is the downstairs of the foundation. We've kind of freshened up and we have our new logo on the wall down there when you walk in. We no longer have the front entrance open. We decided that two people and sometimes one person working alone here and two entrances open all the time was maybe not the most secure. So the side entrance by the Uptown Parks is open and we have a new kind of entryway that's a little more welcoming and a little more bright, I think. I think I mentioned, we have our new logo here. Oops, go back to that. Our new logo and our new hashtags and the addition of greater to our name. We're celebrating 25 years. You will hear more about this coming year. We're going to push out some content related to our history. I don't know if we're going to be able to have an event or not. There is a new award we're going to be giving from the foundation. That's part of our 25th year celebration, and that will be announced very soon. This is our logo for 25th that we've already started using. So as far as donors go, which is really where it all starts, and the only reason we're here is because of the generosity of individuals like yourselves. We're a flexible and cost-effective way for donors to improve their community now and in the future. One of our tools for doing that is called planned giving, giving through lots of different vehicles. One of those is a bequest. We did receive a major gift within the past few months. I guess it started about a year ago last spring. We received a $3.2 million bequest to grant for environmental type initiatives and projects. Those kind of gifts really kind of move the needle for the foundation and our assets and our ability to grant. So we are here to, people do leave us money in our wills. We don't always know that they've planned that, but that is a way for them to carry on their charitable aspirations forever. And that's something that we can always have a private conversation with anybody about. So one of the areas that we grant communities is social services. So a little over a year ago, I guess about a year and a half ago, we responded to Oxford seniors. They had a van that still had a lot of life in it, except for the transmission, minor little thing. So we made a grant, I think it was $4,500 that they needed fairly quickly to replace their transmission. And now that the seniors has opened back up again, hopefully they'll be on the move and be able to, you know, go to their doctor's appointments and social things using that van. So we were really happy to do that. Health services is another area. Reach Out and Read is a fairly recent grant to supply children's books to doctor waiting room, pediatrician's waiting room, as a kind of an opportunity when they're there to read. We all know how good reading is for children. The other one, which is kind of interesting, is a school-based mental health partnership. And that is a $35,000 grant. That is in conjunction with Talawanda School Systems. The graduate students in psychology at Miami engage in counseling. They have a supervisor, but they do counseling of the school children at Talawanda when needed. Obviously, this past year, they weren't able to do that in person. They were able to do that via Zoom. I think we all realize that mental health needs have increased for everybody in the past year. So I think that this was found to be even more needed and even more valuable. And the way that they were able to still do this was through Zoom. And this is just a picture. Obviously, we're not going to show a picture of the children, but these are the graduate students from last year on a Zoom call. Another area is education, just like your Hefner scholarships. Scholarships are an important part of what we do. And between our almost $50,000 in scholarships and our other educational initiatives, we award about $150,000 a year in the educational space. These are just a couple pictures of some of the grants that we've given in the past. Obviously not last year, because there were no such things as field trips and there weren't students in school without masks on, but we hope to get back to that very soon. Environmental and beautification area. We've given some grants to the Oxford Museum Center. One of them was for informational signs explaining some of they have a big collection of old farm implements there, and people go through and tour those, and they're able to read about those through a grant that we gave to make these educational signs possible. Arts, culture, and recreation is another big area that we grant in that benefits the whole community. I'm sure you all remember when the Department of Parks and Recreation with the city had the drive-through circus last Halloween as an alternative to trick-or-treating. So we made a grant to bring the circus here. There were other costs involved with that initiative, but paying the circus the circus people was what we did through our grant, and that was really successful. I think that they had about 1,000 people that were able to watch the circus from their cars last Halloween. Excuse me. Civic projects. I mentioned the Oxford Youth Empowered to Serve. We've granted quite a bit to the Oxford Trail system that we all enjoy. How donors give. So just like you, they can give through a group, they can give individually, annually and monthly. We have mechanisms to do that. I mentioned bequests. We have donors who give through their estate. They can give through our community fund. So sometimes on the envelopes that we send out with our solicitation letters and our newsletter, they check the box community fund, give where the need is greatest. As we saw this past year, things are always changing, and sometimes the needs one year in a community might be different than the next year. And then we have our named funds, our 160 named funds that all do something different. And then finally, scholarships, as you're well familiar with. How we do this, we do fundraising. I'm a certified fundraiser. I think I've had that certification maybe 4 times over. I think it lasts like 3 or 4 years, so I'm showing my age, but fundraising, our income from our endowments. I mentioned our investment committee. So our income is used to make our grants and our scholarships for most of our funds. Some of our funds we can use the principal. We try to dialogue with our community a lot to determine what the most pressing community needs are. We have a meeting that's been going, Roger would know how long. It's called the Needs Awareness Committee. And this is where we meet every other month with a group of nonprofit representatives from Oxford and Hamilton. So we have about 30 different entities attending now. Has to be on Zoom now, but we literally talk about what's happening in our community. What are the needs? Who's meeting those needs? Make sure that we're not in our individual silos and duplicating our programs. Where are the holes? Lately, we've been talking about food scarcity, but it's really great. We have the social workers from the schools there. We have TOPS there. We have Primary Health Solutions from Hamilton there. It's just to make all of us aware. It's a way for me to let them know, how do you access grant money at the foundation? How do you write a successful grant proposal? When's the next deadline? Call me if you have questions, so they know who I am and feel comfortable calling. We're matching donors with community needs. We have some funds here that are donor advised funds. You have a donor advised fund with us, the Hefner Fund. And so you're finding out, you know, like the backpack program with St. Mary's that Susie just contacted us about a couple of days ago. What are the needs out there? And then you're letting us know, can you make this grant? They need some money. We're making the grant. So we're responding to what's happening right now in our community. So obviously we're accountable. We have an audit every year. My slide just switched. There we go. How can you help us? Well, your group already helps us a lot. If you can like us on Facebook, that gives you the most up-to-date information about us. If you are not getting our newsletter and our mailings to your house, just contact me and let me know that you want to get that. I think you all are, but I'm not positive. So let me know if you're not and you'd like that. Our existing funds are all listed on our website. You can give through our website. When we have events again, please come to those. We're working on it. I don't know if we can have our annual meeting this fall, but we have one every year. It's been at the Knolls lately. So that's something else. We've tried to have an event called Brews for Bricks 2 or 3 different times now and had to cancel it. So when we're able to have that, you'll hear about it. And the other thing is starting a fund in your name or a loved one's name. We are a great alternative to a private family foundation. I'm working with someone right now whose attorney advised them not to start their own foundation, to work with us as a community foundation and put together a donor advised fund. And it's a great alternative to doing that, to saving money and still having control over your fund. So as a community foundation, we'll always be here. Community foundations are permanent. We're always permanent. You know, we're paving the way. Through us, you can give where you live, give locally. Grant making for good. We're a grant maker for our area. Again, we listen to our community, we respond. We try to lead to help support our whole community and support our nonprofits who are really on the front lines doing the work. And we really strive to make grants that really make an impact. We do make grants for general operating costs because we all know nonprofits have those. We want to know, though, above and beyond that, what's the difference they're making? How can our grant make a difference to solve a problem or make people's lives better? That's what we're here for. Speaking of grants, our next grant application is April 15th. We have 3 grant applications a year. The application is, we've tried to make it pretty simple and not be a hardship for anybody. It's 3 pages. It's on our website. I mentioned our scholarships. That's May 19th at the Talawanda High School. We are working, just like you all, try to have a kind of an event for your Hefner scholarship winners. We can't have an in-person event this year either, but we're looking at doing a little something for the students, maybe during their lunch hour, if possible. Brews for Bricks, maybe we can have that. I don't think this fall, but that will be coming up maybe next August. So keep that in mind. And like you, we're looking to the future together. So thank you for having me. And if I don't know if I probably went over my time. Sorry about that, but I'm here to answer any questions.
Yep. Becky, this is Lee Fisher. You mentioned that donations are down this year. Is it normally a direct correlation between the number of donations or the amount of donations every year versus the money you give out? Or are those figures separate figures?
Yeah, so donations, thank you for that question, Lee. Donations are down across the board to nonprofits. Right. I don't have figures yet this year for us. I think we've done actually pretty okay. But for nonprofits, especially arts kind of related nonprofits where people, arts, as you know, are extremely important. Heidi, I'm sure would echo that. In this past year, I think people have tried to make sure to donate to, you know, shelters and for food kind of related nonprofits and things like that. Those donations I think are up actually. But as far as are the grants that we make related to the amount of donations that come in a way, yes, indirectly, because we have our investment income that's used to grant from our endowments. And that's based on our total assets. So those two go hand in hand. And then we also have our donor advised fund donations that come in that are requested that we make grants directly from those. So yeah, I think for us, it hasn't really been too damaging, but across the board for nonprofits, I think because people, you know, have lost jobs and they haven't really known what's happening next. I think nonprofits have suffered definitely in this past year.
Betsy, this is Warren Mason. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Could you
How are you?
could you say a word about how the Community Foundation is interfacing with other local nonprofits to make sure that needs are being met in one way or another by not only the foundation, but its partner organizations, or parallel organizations, I should say, other organizations?
Yeah, so we focus, I mean, our as a community foundation, and I mentioned we're one of 5 in Butler County, we're really focused on this area and the nonprofits that serve this area. Not all those nonprofits are right in Oxford. Some of them are in Hamilton, and we always ask them to show us how many people you serve in Oxford. What are your projects in Oxford? Because their headquarters might be in Hamilton or maybe in Cincinnati. Through our Needs Awareness Committee, every other month, those nonprofits are sitting right with us, and we're talking and dialoguing with them back and forth. And actually, this has been the 3rd community foundation I've been at in Butler County, and this is the only one that has a committee like that to actually. A lot of times there's the community foundation and nonprofits are coming to them and asking for money, which is fine. But the reason the Needs Awareness Committee is so great is because we're talking with them as partners, as nonprofit partners, finding out what they need. They're talking with us and we're talking with them, and we're really working together and rolling up our sleeves together. Not so much that we're the funder and we have the money and they're coming to us asking for that. So I think this little foundation really does a great job at communicating with nonprofits, communicating with other funders in the area. Sometimes there'll be a county-wide project and we all call each other, are you going to get involved in this? We all need to get involved so that we can help this cause for everybody's sake, that kind of thing. I think there's a lot of two-way communication going on with the nonprofits, and I'm really trying. I've been here for a year and a half and haven't been able to meet with people individually as much, except for Zoom. But I'm hoping to be, and I hope people already feel that I'm approachable. So if they have an idea and they don't know how to apply for money, or they want to involve some other partners, that we could be a catalyst and a comfortable partner with them, and maybe sitting down and working through something and trying to put something together as a team.
Good. Thanks, that helped.
Hey, Betsy, this is Bob Biggs. A question I have for you. You mentioned about 85 grants and scholarships. So how much money annually is awarded for grants and scholarships from the foundation?
So last year, we awarded 400,000. So I don't have we're right in the middle of, we're not done yet with our funding yet this year. We're just starting with our 3rd deadline, which is April 15th. It's been a little complicated because some of the grants that we gave had to be put on hold. A couple of them gave the grants back because they didn't want it sitting on their books, and some of the projects changed. So 400,000 last year. We would like to grow that number. I'm really promoting the grant deadline of April 15th because we did not get as many grant applications the last cycle as we normally do, and we want to grant. That's why we're here. So we want to get the word out that we're here, and like I said, right now we're looking at diversity as one area that we would like to grant in, but we're here for all different kinds of projects. We also have our donor advised funds. So sometimes how that works is someone comes to us. I have one right now with a proposal that I'm approaching a private donor. This is an anonymous donor, and seeing if that donor will make a grant out of their donor advised fund. Most of our other grants though go through our grant committee.
Betsy, this is Lee Fisher again. Out of that 400,000 and some of it allocated to scholarships, how many awardees would you guess were involved with those actual scholarship grants?
With the scholarships, I think last year we gave 47 scholarships. So we do have a few scholarships. So all of our scholarships right now go to Talawanda High School graduates because that's the way they were set up. We are here, if a donor comes to us and says, hey, I want to award a scholarship to this group or these kind of students or students going to this school or this, we can, in most cases, set that scholarship up. It all starts with the donors. We have an unrestricted scholarship fund, but our scholarships are always, they're usually named after someone, or like your Hefner scholarships. Well, that is named after someone, but they come out of Rotary. So we respond to people. I have someone right now setting up a new scholarship in their family's name. So our scholarship program is growing all the time. Some of them are renewable. So the student is in college or a trade school. That's an area of scholarships in general, in the field of scholarships that's growing. That's so important. You know, I think that the old way of thinking was it has to be for college and a 4-year college. And no, I mean, there are, luckily we have a couple new ones that are just for trade schools, and we want to give those kind of scholarships. We want to meet the needs of different kinds of students and abilities. So I'm happy that we're growing in that way. I would like to see us grow even more in that way. Yeah, our scholarships are, a few of them are renewable. Most of them are not. Most of them are given right when the student goes to college, and they're awarded to their college in their name.
Okay, Betsy, thank you very, very much. This was great, and it's another great aspect of life in Oxford that we can all, I think, be very proud of. And so I want to make sure, are there any other questions or comments from anybody?
I just have a very quick comment. I know I'm a guest, but I would like to say that the Greater Oxford Community Foundation has been a major supporter for the Oxford Community Arts Center for the past 14 years. I had to go back and look at our records. So I just want to say thank you to Betsy and to the foundation for being such an amazing partner. And we absolutely appreciate everything that they do for us and what the community can do through the foundation for the arts in Oxford. And Betsy, I sent you an email so I can come see your new office.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Heidi and I were together in Fairfield at the same time. So there's a Fairfield contingent in here
Okay,
going on.
great.
Okay.
This is such a great place to live, and the work that you do in the Community Foundation are such an important part of it. So we thank you again for that. And we are going to put a book in Lane Library in your name. Don't know what the book will be, but it'll be something cool.